Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope that all of you are doing fine. And I tell you, I'm doing fine myself. Glad to be with you once again. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And I would like to welcome all of you to another episode of TJ's Topics. That's right. And of course, you already know who I am. I'm TJ. And it is such a pleasure to be with all of you. I consider it a joy, an honor, and a privilege to be able to come into your presence on any given occasion. Oh, I tell you, what a lovely day we have here. And I hope it's a lovely day where you are too. Now, today's topic is quite relevant. No matter what season, no matter what month, what time of day it is, it doesn't matter. When it is, it's relevant because it's something we have to deal with from time to time. Cutting people off gets easier with time. That is the topic for today. Cutting people off gets easier with time. I don't know about you, but I tend to find it so much easier now at a little bit older age than I did when I was younger to cut people off. I do. I tell you, I find it so rejuvenating in a sense. I just, because I want you to think about something. People come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And we've all heard that on multiple occasions. Well, it's true. But everyone is not meant to be a part of our lives for the whole of our lives. You know, everybody who has ever entered our world, they came in for a specific purpose and a a certain amount of time. And so once their season has ran its course, and once they have fulfilled the role in our lives that they were meant to play, then they move on. And of course, there are many ways that people can leave our lives, sometimes through death, other times through moving away, they move out of town or something. And then there are times when they simply stop dealing with us altogether. You know, phone calls cease, text messages, they come to a halt, visits, they diminish, whatever the case may be. Once their purpose in our life has been completed, there's really no other reason for them to be there. And so they simply vanish. And I've had that to happen on many occasions, even this year. I deleted some phone numbers out of my phone. Well, it was in my other phone, but I deleted those numbers just recently because I'm no longer in contact with those individuals. They don't call me and I don't call them. And so there was no reason for me to keep those numbers in my phone. And sometimes you have to delete people's addresses from your mind. You may still remember where they live, at least up until the point where you stop dealing with them. And sometimes they relocate afterwards. But whatever it is, you just move on. That's what life is all about. And so, but I tell you, it gets easier with time cutting people off. It really does. And, you know, and sometimes people have some of the nastiest attitudes. Now that's another reason why we have to cut folks off too, because I mean, they can have some of the funkiest attitudes. I mean, their personality, everyone has a different personality. But I'm telling you, they don't know how to talk to people. They're very snobbish and arrogant, and oh man, they just flat out get on your nerves. It's terrible. And so who wants to waste their time dealing with people like that? It's best to just let those people go. Just cut your losses and bid them adieu. So long, sucker. Because I mean, all you're doing is just going in circles, and life is way too short for that. Who has time to be studied going back and forth with no good jokers? I sure as heck don't, and I know you don't either. So, have you all had to cut off anybody lately? You know, whether it be because sometimes you have to cut off kinfolk. You know, I mean, as harsh as that sounds, as bad as that sounds, and as much as some of us hate to do it, but sometimes it comes to the point where you got to cut off relatives, you know, because they're really not serving any purpose, and that don't mean any good. Neighbors, like incidentally, among the three numbers that I got rid of in my other phone just recently, one of them was a neighbor that I used to deal with, and he and I once lived in the same apartment complex. And he moved out on account of illness. But, tried to keep in touch with him for a while, for years actually. But, he was so depressed, and he was always so bitter, always had something to complain about and griping, and, and that just started to drain my spirit. Whenever I tried to visit with him or whatever, it was just, he wasn't a very, I mean, it just sometimes the experience of being around him was so unpleasant. And so, to make a long story short, I just cut ties with him. We hadn't spoken in like 5, almost 6 years anyway. So I said, oh well. And others I used to be friends with on social media, and we were pretty good friends for a long time. But it got to the point where we didn't deal with each other anymore, so I cut them loose too. So, but that's what you have to do sometimes. You got to move on with your life, and believe me, fate has a way of bringing new people into your life. People who will rejoice with you when you're doing good, and they'll mourn with you when you're um, experiencing grief and sadness or what have you. They'll be there for you. So, you know, life has a way of bringing things full circle too. You know, it's like every time someone leaves our life, somehow or another, there will be someone new to come along and replace the person who left. So that's a good thing to know. So that's all I wanted to say, and I hope that that advice will help you. Cutting people off gets easier with time. Don't believe me? Keep on living. So, with that being said, I would like to take this opportunity once again to say thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of TJ's Topics. I really do appreciate you stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. And believe it or not, next time we come together, we will be in a brand new month. We're at the end of October now. So when you join me again next time, we will be in the month of November, my birthday month, and Thanksgiving. This is Taryn Jerome Harris, reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. Look forward to seeing you again in November. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.